Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing really well. So, last few days of CLAT. So, starting with introducing myself, I am Arunoday and I secured AIR 21 in CLAT 2021. So, here I'm to talk about this video theme, which is the last 10 days of CLAT prep. So, how does it go? There's a lot of queries, lot of doubts of all the aspirants. So, I will be addressing all the questions one by one. There are main important themes which I have divided this video into. So, starting with the number of mocks, okay. So, there's a constant confusion in these last 10 days that you should practice more, like in mock sectional tests, or you should revise more. So I think it's all about balance which you need to have. So in these last 10 days, I think 4 mocks should be more than enough in these last days, because you have to revise as well and you have to revisit your old mocks, and also you have to analyze these mocks. So it's not about doing something new, it's not about practicing something new, it's more about consolidating your whole CLAT preparation journey and revising it and reflecting upon your preparation. So I would suggest 4 mocks out of in 10 days would be more than enough. And also, which coaching mocks, if you ask, I would suggest it is totally subjective. There are good mocks like Legal Edge, FPT, CL. I personally preferred career launcher mocks because I found it more relevant to the CLAT pattern, but you guys can go ahead with LPT, LE, or any other coaching mocks which you find like very compatible with the CLAT paper, CLAT pattern. So now the second question arises ki when you attempt a mock, how much you should attempt and compatibility with the accuracy part, how should it go? So it's again a balance between attempts and accuracy. So starting with the attempts. So I think when you want to go into good NLUs, 120, 130 plus attempts is a prerequisite for getting into any good NLUs, because the point behind attempting more, which I felt, is that if you see the CRRC, there are always debatable questions. Out of 60, there are always debatable questions. They depend upon what the paper setter is thinking about while making that question. And hence we also, after CLAT exam ended, we also sent many questions for the eval, like ultimately that was unsuccessful. So it's always better to attempt more, because even if you do the cost benefit analysis, you will see that attempting more, like attempting more gives you 1 mark if you get it correct, and only 0.25 to lose. And also you should add the cost of reading that much time, taking that much time to read the passage. So your time to read the passage, your 1 marks to gain, should clearly outweigh your cost of losing 0.2 marks. The only reason when you should not attempt a particular question is when you are totally confused on what the answer should be, like you are confused between all the 4 options. So in that case you can leave a question, but otherwise you should at least have 130 attempts, 130 plus attempts in order to get a good NLE, because anyways attempts more is a boon for you guys, and attempting less, anyways you are out of the league, out of the competition. So now many of you say that in order to increase attempts, how do you increase attempts? So what I feel, in order to increase attempts, what you need to focus is on stopping to think more, because sometimes you wonder, you go in a dilemma over what options would be most correct, what option would be the best answer. So you do not trust your gut, but I think you should trust your gut here, because your gut is not coming from something random, something irrational. Okay, it is reasonable because it is coming from your understanding of the passage. But if you start doubting your gut, you just don't have time, you have less than 1 minute per question in class. So you should stop going into dilemma, stop overthinking and marking the very option which you feel right in the first instance. And also the speed factor is there as always in order to increase your attempts. So in order to increase your attempts, you need to attempt questions with speed. Secondly, stop overthinking. And now coming to the accuracy part, how do you increase accuracy? I think the problem with accuracy is with lack of practice. So as much as you can practice, as much as you can give sectional tests, which can, like, sectional test is the most preferred thing for increasing accuracy, is because you have to solve only one section, you have greater focus and greater concentration over it. So what you can do is solve as much as sectional tests as possible, increase your speed, because, and also distribute your time. Suppose for me, what I preferred was ki if the passage had been very difficult and the questions had been easy, I would distribute more time to reading the passage than to read the questions. If the questions were a little bit twisted and the passage was relatively easily worded, I would shift more of my time to reading the questions. So this should be your strategy to increase your attempts and then to increase your accuracy as well. And talking about the next part is how to reduce your negatives. I think reducing negatives comes with having good accuracy. So once you analyze your marks, you should know ki why am I committing a particular error, why am I marking a particular option, and why am I not marking the right option. Okay, even when you do some questions right, you should also see that why am I marking a particular answer right and why I'm not marking wrong. So once you know what reasoning you apply whenever you mark a particular answer, you should know ki why you are committing a mistake wrong. Okay, so I think that would help you in finding out your error. You should then work upon that error. If you're having a fact specific question wrong, if you're having silly mistakes, or if you're having a type of questions like inference, assumptions, these type of questions wrong, you can similarly work upon it and reduce your negatives in such a manner. So that should be the case for dealing with negatives, properly analyzing it, and then you need to work out your mistakes and then give it in the next mock. I think that should help you resolve the negatives. So now comes the section of how do you strategize your these next 10 days in such a manner that you are able to distribute your time proportionately as per your requirement section wise. So I would start with the section most demanded with all the aspirants is the current affairs section, because there is no particular syllabus for it. There's a lot of the sources available on the internet. All the coachings provide different sources. So how do you prepare for the GK or revise GK in these last 10 days? So I would suggest ki these are the times when, like, there are a lot of sources available on the internet. Many coachings or many sites will release these are the 100 important topics which you should do, otherwise you won't be able to clear CLAT. These are the important topics which you need to do, otherwise you won't be able to do this. So I think the most important thing is not to distract yourself and not to look for something new, but you should stick to your the most important sources which you have preferred till now and trust those sources. And also, as all of us stress that the most important thing is making notes for GK. So if you had made notes all through your class prep, this is the time when those notes come into your benefit to revise quickly, to revise through your notes as well and not go to the original source. So for GK, I think you should cover like 2 days a month, and you should go in a backward version, because if you see, generally the class prefers these recent 2022 months more than 2021. The recent 6 months would be more preferred than the earlier one. So I think you should go backward in the time of revising, giving most priority to the 2022 months and 2021. So that should be your strategy for G. Now covering with the RC and CR section, as I would say, ki RC and CR are both comprehension based. It's all about practice. It's all about reading. Okay, so you have to have speed. You have to have accuracy in these sections, and also great number of attempts, because I already mentioned that they are a bit controversial. They are a bit debatable. So I think what you should do is you need to read as much as you can in these 10 days. Start reading, start visiting your old mocks as the most important source for CR and RC. Give your old mocks as the sectional tests, which would help you in seeing where you stand today and where were you standing right then when you gave that mock in the first attempt. So you should see whether you are committing the same error again or whether you have improved, whether you are committing some new mistakes which you did it right then and you are committing it as wrong now. So check these things, check the comparison of you then and of you now. I think that would help you in seeing your progress through that phase to this phase. So for CR and RC, read more, practice sectional tests, revisit your old mocks. That would be the most important thing which you can do in these time. So for CR and RC, you can do that. For legal, if you feel the need to go and revisit the basics, I think you should do that. But if you are not willing to go to the basics again because it is quite exhaustive, then no need for revisiting the basics, because anyways the passages are there, and CLAT consortium clearly states that there is no prior knowledge of law required. So I think the passage would be enough for you to go get good scores in legal without revisiting the basics. I think once you know the basic concepts, that is more than enough, because when you read the passage, everything will come to your mind naturally at the back of your mind. So I think practice as much as you can in legal. Like, you don't need to practice much. So see the CLAT 2021 paper, and then again give 2 or 3 marks, as I said, and that would also apply as the practice for your legal section as well. So for legal, it is there. Now coming to the last section, the math section. I think it is the most important thing, because if you want to get good colleges and good NLUs, you have to solve maths. There's no other way around. It is high time now that if you have not started solving maths in your mock sections, if you're leaving it for the last, I think this is the time when you should go and do some basic topics like percentage, CI, SI, and other topics like time, speed, distance, and all. These are all the basic topics which you need to go through again as fast as you can. Write all the formulas, remember them, because that was the only thing which you have to learn in maths. Otherwise it's just simple basic addition and subtraction. Also do visit 2020 and 2021 math section and solve them as sectional tests. And keep practicing math. Practice is the most important thing for maths, and also you need to be time constrained while practicing. Like, only give 12 minutes for 10 questions, 15 to 17 minutes for 3 sets. I think that should be enough for maths. Do practice daily, like 15 to 17 minutes for 3 sets. You have to give it, like, minimum you have to solve 2 sets in maths, 12 minutes for 10 questions. That should be the essential prerequisite for getting into any of the top NLUs. So now moving on from the section-wise strategy to the next question is, sometimes there is a doubt that whenever you are stuck between two options, especially in legal section, what you need to do. I think most of you would be able to decide whether there is a yes or whether there is a no. So you eventually eliminate two options. So you now are stuck between the two options. So there are two things which you need to know. The first thing, the answer which sticks to the passage is the right answer, is the best answer. The second thing is the answer which directly answers the main point which the question is asking. Main specific point, the answer which is specific and directly answering the question, is your answer. So these two things, directly related to the passage and directly answering the demand of the question, should be the correct answer. And prefer and avoid using external knowledge, because it is not at all required in CLAT, and if you use external knowledge, you might lose out on some marks. If you feel that all the four options require external knowledge, if the question itself requires external knowledge which is not mentioned in the passage, that should be the only and the sole circumstance when you use the external knowledge. Otherwise you should refrain it from doing so. Now, moving on to the next question, is the time issue which most of you face while solving RC and CR passages. So as you are time bound, you should eventually like take 60 minutes for both the sections, not more than that. So in these 60 minutes, how do you do RC and CR? See, if there are 450 words per passage, it is not possible for anyone to solve all the 5 questions and solve all the 450 words, read all the 450 words, memorize it, and answer the questions. I literally don't feel that is possible for anyone, and even the papers who's setting the paper doesn't want you to do that. The answer to this issue is just how you are skilled and how you use your experience which you have gathered in these mocks to skim the passage. Okay, so skimming is a skill where you read only the relevant portions of the passage and how you go through it. So I feel if you know the art of skimming, if you have done enough mocks till now, if you have done enough practice, you should know the part where you should focus more, where you should not. Okay, suppose there are examples, there's arguments. If you know the arguments, you don't need to go into the examples, because you know the examples are there to substantiate the arguments only. So I think if you know the art of skimming, I think you should be able to skim faster and solve this particular time issue which you are facing in RCNCR section. So that should be. Now I'm coming to the category of students who are scoring different marks, and how they can improve in these last 10 days, or what they can do in these last 10 days. Starting with those students who are like around 50 to 75 marks or below that. So you guys don't need to worry, but you need to be on your high, because you need to know that this is the last moment which you can do something about. So I think whatever you guys must have done through all your basics, so what you can do is, again, what problems you are facing, whatever you are doing is analyzing your mocks, and whatever problems you are facing, I think you should work on those problems. You should attempt all the sections, because generally you guys don't attempt math section, so you're losing out upon that. You're having time and speed issue. I just told you need to learn the art of skimming. You need to practice as much as you can. You need to think critically while you read, while you do your daily readings. That should be the most important thing. You should read daily. And I would suggest ki for GK, or okay, you guys should not go into every monthly compendium and all. Just see the 100 most topics, or prioritize only the months of 2022, these 6 months. I think that should be enough for you guys. For GK, for maths, you need to solve maths anyhow. You need to give 12 minutes to maths. Apply strict sectional time limits. It doesn't matter that whatever your strong section is, you are giving more time to that, and you are leaving one section. That never happens. If you want to go into good colleges, you need to attempt all sections, give proper respect and proper time to each and every section. That should be the case. You need to analyze your mocks properly. I think I would suggest you to give more mocks than those who are in the higher marks criteria. You need to give more mocks, like you need 6 to 7 mocks you want to give yourself, to adjust yourself, to make yourself comfy with the idea of giving mocks. uh, that is all which I can say about 50 to 75 marks. Now coming on to the next criteria of students who are like scoring pretty well, are under 100 rank in their coachings. They are scoring 90 to 110. You guys need to do two things. First is you guys need to maintain whatever marks you are scoring till now. You guys need to be there. You have to, because reaching there is very easy, but fluctuation happens very much in CLAT marks. So you need to be aware of that fluctuations. You cannot afford to go down from 90 if you want to get into the top 3 NLUs. I would suggest ki maintain that marks. And how could you maintain that marks? By analyzing your marks properly and seeing what you are doing right, and keep doing that right thing again and again. If it is possible, attempt more. Attempt like 140. I attempted 141 in my CLAT exam, so attempt like 140 if it is possible. So I think that you should be good to go if you attempt that much. And also, don't worry if you are like, your marks can increase, like 5 to 10 marks can easily increase if you give CLAT, because generally mocks, if you see the if you see the my bad if you see the current affairs section, they sometimes give irrelevant things, because mocks is given on a weekly basis. But CLAT is still now an annual exam, so you will receive only the most important topics in your CLAT GK, so your marks will eventually increase. So do not worry about that. About RC and CR, try to score 20 plus in both these sections. In maths, you try to score around 10, and legal 30 plus, 35 plus, whatever your aspiration is, whatever your capacity is. I think you should be good to go there. And this is how you can increase your marks. Like, you have to like struggle more and more for increasing even 2 to 3 marks, because you have reached the saturation point, and from here you have to like mix a lot of hard work in your water to achieve a good marks, to achieve 120 marks or 150, 120 marks. So I think maintaining where are you now, and also thriving and trying to score more by doing your hard work in like 2 to 3 marks in each section, that would help you guys to reach 120 and all. So now coming to our final parts of the videos. So there will be anxiety and pressure in these last 10 days, okay. Nobody whoever who have started prep like 2 or 3 months ago, and who have started prep like 2 years ago, all are in the same position. If you say in terms of anxiety and pressure, all human beings have an inherent tendency to have anxiety, pressure and tension when the D-Day is arriving, in whichever case it is now. And also it is very natural, and I think it is good because it shows that you care about that particular day. You show respect to that particular day, and that's why you are having a tension and having anxiety of performance on that day. But I think what you can do is to make these last 10 days as light as possible, okay. Whatever you do, you read whatever, because if you see, CLAT is all about critical reasoning based examination. It requires your logic, it requires your rationality, so it does not require raw learning skills. So it's very less which you can do in these last 10 days. It's all about reflecting on your CLAT preparation. It's all about seeing where you what you have done in your CLAT journey and consolidating your prep. It's all about revising. So keep your mind as free as possible, because you don't want to burden your mind, and your mind may blast or metaphorically in the last day, and you might not be able to solve the question. So on before the D-Day arrives, I think you should keep your practicing and reading as light as possible, because whatever you have done till now is done. You cannot do something new in these last 10 days. So what's in your hand is to give your best, okay, right? And what if you have given your best, if you have performed to your potential till now, I think you are good to go for the D-Day, for the CLAT exam, and you need not have anxiety and pressure. Do chill, because this is the last time which you can chill, because law school life might be exhausting in your first year. So I think you should enjoy this particular journey of yours to your CLAT, to your law school, to being a law aspirant. So I think you should enjoy these times, and I think you should do all your hobbies or all your extracurricular activities which you love, like dancing, singing, like cooking, or playing some sports or games, or whatever you do in all these things. That would reduce your anxiety and pressure, okay. Also, what are the important things to remember, okay. Wear comfortable clothes on that day, because these centers are not in very good conditions. Okay, physical infrastructure is not that great, so wear comfortable clothes, carry water bottles, all the required essentials which is required on that day, all your info and all, carry with yourself, okay. Keep it in your bag a day before only, and reach center first, okay. And be calm and composed. Do not panic by seeing all your mates studying, or all your mates discussing something, okay. Just say ki whatever I have done till now is what I could have done till now. Be confident in yourself, trust your preparation. I think you would be good to go on that day. So lastly, what I would like to say is ki what whatever is in your hands, you guys and girls, all you guys would have done, okay, right? Or whatever you wanted to do, you have done till your class prep. That's what you could have done. You would have done nothing better, right? So there's no use in taking tension, in panicking, in anxiety, okay. Anything can happen on CLAT day. Just give CLAT as any other mock which you give, okay, in any center. Suppose and imagine that you're going to a center and you are writing a normal mock, okay. There's nothing special about this piece of paper. So give CLAT that day. Do not accord any special status, and be mindful of all the mistakes which you have committed earlier in all the mocks, because the very purpose of mocks is coming to use on the CLAT day. The very experience which you learn from analyzing the mocks, which you learn from giving the mocks, it should be used in this particular day of CLAT. So I think you should be good to go on that day. Be calm, be composed, enjoy yourself, be as much free as you can, As I said, do not burden yourself in these last 10 days. Keep your marks to 4 and 5. You know how much to attempt, you know how to manage your accuracy, you have been prepping till now, you know how to revise. Just have a plan in these last 10 days. Just have a strategy on how would you divide your time accordingly, and how would you keep your mind fresh at the same time. Okay, do not study much, because this is not a lot learning based. This does not test your knowledge. This is not your board exams. Okay, this just test your legal, my bad, the reasoning skills which you have, the reasoning ability which you have gathered, the speed and accuracy which naturally came to you in these years of preparation, which cannot come to you in like these last 10 days. Whatever marks you're scoring now, marks shouldn't matter as much as you are learning. Or if you are learning properly, if you are not committing the same mistakes again, if you are analyzing it properly, you are really doing a great job. So if you are all doing all the things right, even if you're not able to do the things right, there's no need to take anxiety or pressure. You don't need to panic, because everything doesn't goes right in every time. Like, you cannot have 100% control over your life. You need to leave something to luck, but do whatever is in your hands. Okay, don't panic during the time of CLAT. Okay, some questions may be difficult, but that happens even when you give mocks. Okay, you need to be as much as flexible as you can whenever you give the CLAT exam. Okay, you never know, your strongest section might become your weakest section then, because the questions is the hardest. And if you have the trust and confidence in yourself, you would say to yourself, Ki, if it is difficult for me, it will be difficult for everyone else. And if it is difficult for everyone else, if it is easy for everyone else, it would be the same for me, because ultimately CLAT is a competitive exam. So give the CLAT exam, be flexible on that day, because you never know ki maths you're leaving, maths might be your weakest section, but ultimately the questions are so easy that you do not want to leave them, and you might end up scoring like 13, 14 marks if you give proper time to that particular section. Okay, so do not have ego on that day. Do not have like ego issues, because you cannot afford to spend more time on a section. You need to move on. You can come back to that section on a later period of time. Suppose if you are doing one passage for legal section is very lengthy. Okay, legal section is very lengthy. So if you feel that I'm leaving one passage, you can always come to that passage at last, but you cannot afford to extend your time 5 minutes to do it in the first attempt only, because your rest sections will be messed up. Okay, so be flexible on that day. I know you guys will be doing great. So cheers up and all the best for the last day. And lastly, what I would want to say that I'm mentoring several aspirants in CMP Champion Batch. If you want to be mentored by me, you can join the CMP Champions Batch by clicking the link on the description. All the info will be provided there. And if you have not joined the CMP Telegram channel, oh, you are missing out on a bunch of contents, a lot of information, because it is really helpful for the aspirants. There is an aspirants network there, so you can join it through the link in the description as well. So I would be looking to meet some of you at NLSIU Bangalore in the next year itself, and hoping that you had a good CLAT journey, you had a good time prepping for CLAT, and you will have a good time in your law school as well. So thank you everyone.